For this video, we're going to be looking at lesson 1.6, solving investment portfolio problems, and we're going to be focusing on examples. So our first example here, we have Jason and Malik are each hoping to buy a house in 10 years. They want their money to grow so that they can make a substantial down payment. So we have Jason's portfolio, and so he's got a 10-year $2,000 GIC that earns 4.2% compounded semi-annually. He has a savings account that earns 1.8% compounded weekly, where he saves $55 every week. And he has a 5-year $4,000 bond that earns 3.9% compounded quarterly, which he will reinvest in another bond at an interest rate of 4.1%. Malik's portfolio is a tax-free savings account that earns 2.2% compounded monthly and has a current balance of $5,600. The purchase at the end of each year of a 10-year 5,000 CSB that earns 3.6 compounded annually, and savings account that earns 1.6 compounded monthly, where she saves $200 every month. So what we're going to do for this one is we are going to split this up. We're going to do Jason's portfolio first, and then we're going to do Malik's portfolio second. So I'm going to cut my screen here, and this one will be Jason, and this side will be Malik. So, and then when you're doing portfolios, you do each investment separately and add them together at the end. So to start with, we have a 10-year $2,000 GIC for Jason. So I'm going to go to my investment calculator. And so the principal was $2,000. We're not making any periodic investments, so that remains zero. It's compounded semi-annually, so that's twice a year for 10 years. So our number of cash flows will be 20, because 2 times 10 is 20. Our interest is 4.2%. The goal amount is what we're trying to find, so that's our unknown. We're doing semi-annually, so make sure the first date is the first of the month. And then the next one needs to be 6 months later, so that would be March, so 03/01/2022. 2022. And we're doing this semi-annually. So for his GIC, by the end, we are going to have earned $3,000 or $3,030.71. Okay, and so now we got the savings account, so I'm just going to do SA for savings account. And that one is 1.8% compounded weekly, where he saves $55 every week. So for this one, we don't have any money at the beginning, but he's going to be doing $55 a week. And so we're doing it weekly for 10 years. So 52 weeks in a year for 10 years. So that's 520 times altogether. 52 times 10, 520. His interest is only 1.8%. Goal amount is unknown. And today's date, first of the month. And then we need to do a week later. So here, do this one on the calendar. So we got September. So September 1st is the start, and then a week later would be September 8th. And we're doing this one weekly, so my drop-down menus need to be weekly. Everything is good, so I calculate. And so his savings account at the end of 10 years is going to be $31,000. $31,329.72. Okay. And now next one is a 5-year 4,000 bond that earns 3.9% compounded quarterly, which he'll reinvest in another bond at an interest rate of 4.1%. So for this one, we're going to do his bond. And then we're going to do the first 5 years. Start with. So the starting amount is 4,000, so that's the principal. We're not making regular payments, so that's zero. that didn't take 0. There we go. It is compounded quarterly. So if it's quarterly, it's 4 times in a year. And if we're only doing it for the first 5 years, so 4 times 5 is 20. It is interest rate. The beginning one is 3.9. Future value, we don't know. So we're doing it quarterly. So quarterly means 3 months later. So my cash flow date needs to be 3 months later from the first. So that would put me at December, so 12/01/2021. We are doing quarterly, so I gotta switch my drop-down menus to quarterly. It calculates. So for the first 5 years, it's going to be worth $4,856.65. And so what's happening is he's reinvesting that for the next 5 years. So I'm going to do second 5 years. And this is what's actually going to be important to our calculations. So because what that means is I'm going to take this $4,856.65. That is now going to become my principal amount because I'm reinvesting it, or Jason's reinvesting it. Periodic amount is still 0. Number of cash flows, we're still doing it quarterly for another 5 years, so it's going to remain 20. But now our interest is 4.1%. Goal amount is unknown. My dates are going to stay the same because we're still doing quarterly. And so at the end of those next 5 years, it's going to be worth $5,955.44. So this one's actually going to be what's important for our calculations, because that's what the value of that bond at the end of 10 years is. So now to do the portfolio total, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each of those major values, so the GIC, this savings account, and the bond at the end of those 10 years, and add them all together. So for the GIC, we got $30,030.71 plus the savings account, which is $31,329.72 plus, and the bond, so 59,500, or sorry, let's try to say that properly, $5,955.44. What that works out to be is going to be the amount of money that Jason has at the end of the 10 years. So $3,030.71 plus $31,329.72 plus $5,955.44. So at the end of this, he has $40,315.81. Okay. Now, the final question is asking us to compare the rate of return. So we need to be able to do the rate of return for Jason. So that is the end of the portfolio calculations. Now to do the rate of return, we need to have the amount of interest he's gained. And to be able to do the amount of interest, we need to know how much he's actually invested. So for this one, we have, he did $2,000 for the GIC. So this is amount invested. So the GIC was the 2,000. For a savings account, he did $55 every week, so 52 times in a year for 10 years. So that was $55 every week for 10 years. So $28,600 for that one. And then for the bond, the initial amount he invested was the 4,000. So to figure out the total, and take each of those and add them together, so the 2,000 plus the 28,600 plus the 4,000. Oops, I missed a zero there. And so that works out, I missed a zero there too, apparently. So that works out to be 34,600. Okay. So to do the interest, we're going to do the amount he made. So the $40,315.81 minus what he invested. So the 34,600. $40,315.81 minus what he put in, so the 34,600. And so the amount of interest he's gained, or the amount of extra money he's made, is $5,715.81. So now to finish this part, we got to do his rate of return. So his rate of return is equal to the interest divided by the principal times 100. So in this case, the interest he's gained is at $5,715.81 divided by what he invested, so what he put in at the beginning, so 34,600. We times that by 100. So we got this $5,715.81 divided by the 34,600 times 100. So it works out to be 16.5% is his return. Okay. Now, so that is all the calculations for Jason. So just a note, it is a fair amount. So you got to take your time. Careful what you write down because there is a lot of spaces to make errors here. Okay, so we got Jason done. Now we have to do the same thing for Malik. So to start with, for Malik, we have a tax-free savings account that earns 2.2% compounded monthly and a current balance of $56,000. So my starting amount is 56. I said 56,000. I mean 5,600 or 5,600. We're not making regular payments, so that stays zero. This is compounded monthly, so that's 12 times in a year for 10 years. So 12 times 10 is 120, so the number of cash flows is 120. The interest rate is 2.2. The goal amount is unknown. We are doing this monthly, so my dates should be a month apart. So my first cash flow should be 10/01/2021. My drop-down menus will be monthly. And so the TFSA is going to earn $6,976.62. And now, so that's the tax-free savings account. Now we got to do the bonds. Again, the bonds, the purchase at the end of each year of 10 years, 10 of a 10-year 500 Canadian savings bond that earns 3.6 compounded annually. So for this one, I'm going to zoom in. So I did the chart like we did in the instructional video, and I'll zoom in so make it easier to see the chart. Maybe. There we go. All right. So we're doing these 500 Canadian savings bonds at the end of each year. And so the principal of each is going to be the 500. The interest rates for each of these is going to be 3.6. And so for the first Canadian savings bond, that's bought at the end of the year. So that means it has 9 years for the investment to earn interest. And then the second one's bought at the end of the second year, so it's got 8 years left. The third one is bought at the end of the third year, so it's got 7 years left, so on and so forth. And then the last one is bought at the end of the 10 years, so it doesn't actually have time to earn interest. So now we're going to go to our investment calculator to fill in the future values of these. So it's going to be 500. Periodic investment amount is 0. So the number of years for this investment is 9. They're 3.6. My future value is unknown. We're doing these annually, so the dates need to be a year apart. So 09, 01, 2022. We're doing these annually, so my drop-down menus need to be annually. Hit calculate. So the first one is $687.40. So now to move on to the next one, everything stays the same, except now the next one's only 8 years. Make sure to put the unknown into the future value so it switches. So this one is 663 and 51. And then we go do 7. Hit unknown. Hit calculate. 640, 45. And you just keep going until you got it all filled in. So we're at 6 years now. Calculate 618 and 20 cents. Now we've got 5. Unknown. Calculate. Oh, it didn't change. Let's try this again. 5. Unknown. Calculate. 596 and 72 cents. And hence why I'm going to use the financial calculators for this, because if you were doing the actual formula each time, it would take a very long time. The next one is 575.98. Down to 3 years now. 555 and 97. Down to 2. 536 and 65 cents. Down to 1. Unknown. Calculate. $518, and then the last one is just 500. Yeah, and the last one can't earn interest. Okay. Now we got to figure out the totals for these Canadian savings bonds, so we got to add all 10 together. So the first one is 687.40 cents plus 663.57 plus 640.45 plus 618.20 plus 596.72 plus 575.98 plus 500 or 555.97 plus 536.65 plus 518 plus 500 equals, so we got 5,892.94. Okay, so that covered our Canadian savings bonds. And so we got our last one to do is our savings account. So our savings account earns 1.6% compounded monthly, where she saves 200 every month. So for this one, there is no starting amount, but she is putting in $200 every month. And so for this one, if it's monthly, that means 12 times in a year, and she's doing it for 10 years, so 12 times 10 is 120. The interest rate is 1.6. Goal amount is unknown. And so we're doing this monthly, so my dates need to be a month apart. So 10/01/2021. Drop down menus are monthly. Hit calculate. And so for the savings account, the value works out to be $26,007.87. So now to do the total for the portfolio, we're going to add these three things together. So we got the $6,976.62 plus the bonds, which is 58,000. Oh boy, $5,892.94 plus the $26,007.87. I'm going to pull up my calculator and we'll add those all together. So we've got 6,976.62 cents plus $5,892.94 plus $26,007.87 equals. So our total for this one is $38,877.43. Okay. So that's how much her portfolio is worth at the end. And now we got to do the same thing that we did for Jason here. We now need to figure out the amount that she invested. So from the TFSA, that one started at 5,600. For the bonds, there are 500 each, and there was 10 bonds altogether, so she invested 5,000 from those ones. And then the savings account, she was doing, what was it? $200 every month. It was $200 every month for 10 years. So that one, she invested $24,000. So then the total that was invested, we're going to take the 5,600 plus the 5,000 plus the 24,000, and we're going to get 34,600. So she invested 34,600. Okay, and now we have to figure out how much interest there was. So we're going to take how much she made, so the $38,877.43. We're going to minus the 34,600. So $38,877.43 minus the 34,600. And we're left with $4,277.43. So that's how much extra she made. And then the final piece is to do the rate of return. So rate of return. So to do the rate of return, It's equal to your interest divided by your principal times 100. So for, what's her name again? Malik. Her interest was the $4,277.43 divided by how much, or what she started with her principal. So the 34,600 times 100. And so we got the $4,277.43 already in my calculator. I'm going to divide that by the 34,600. And then I'm going to times it by 100. So it works out to be 12.4% if I round to one decimal place. So, and the reason we did the rate of return is because we got two completely different portfolios, but now we have a way to be able to compare them. So we're done with the financial calculator now. So I'm going to extend this. So Jason got 16.5% return, whereas Malik only got 12.4%. So in the end, Jason had the better investment. He had the larger return, larger percent, so he had the better investment. So in summary, the rate of return is a useful measure for comparing investment portfolios. An investment portfolio can be built from different types of investments, and the factors that contribute to a large return on an investment are time, interest rate, and compound frequency. And that ends our example video.